худалдан авах ажиллагааны стратегийг шин чиг хандлагад нийцүүлэх гэсэн хуралдааны үндсэн илтгэгч болох оюу толгой компани Гүйцэтгэх захирал хадагтай Дэйрдрэ Лингенfelder энэ дээр гарч ирсэн байна. Танд амжилт хүсье.
Baarla, Sambano. Good morning to everyone. It's wonderful to be here, and I felt the Nalach energy as the Deputy Prime Minister said his words this morning, and that really resonated with me, and I feel the energy in the room today, so thank you so much for sharing that. Firstly, a heartfelt thanks to the Ministry of Industry and Mineral Resources, as well as the Mongolian National Mining Association, and everyone that came together to make this incredible event possible. Your efforts in bringing us together and having conversations this week is invaluable. Meaningful engagement and genuine dialogue are essential in shaping the future of mining and investment. We both can thrive to create a more prosperous society. Mongolian Mining Week is a premium platform for us to have the frank conversations necessary, and this includes policymakers, experts, businesses, and civil society to align our collective efforts towards progress. Since its start, and I've been very lucky to be at the first, the second, and now the third Mining Week, I've eagerly looked forward to this event, not just to participate, but to learn from the incredible talented people we have in the room with us. Today, I'd like to share with you three major trends that I believe will profoundly change the face of mining. Today's theme, adapting procurement strategies to emerging trends, couldn't be more timely. The world is undergoing seismic shifts at breakneck speed. These emerging trends are reshaping the mining industry and global business alike. And whether you call these changes revolutionary or transitional, one thing is absolutely clear. We are standing at the crossroads of forces that will redefine mining for years to come. I want to highlight three overarching themes that will be far-reaching in terms of its implications for our industry. The first, and the Deputy Prime Minister referred to this as well, is climate change, a reality that is testing every industry on the planet. Second, global instability. Continued unpredictability is disrupting supply chains with unprecedented bottlenecks. And thirdly, technological transformation. Advancements that are both exciting as well as daunting as they open up new opportunities whilst exposing us to new challenges. I would like to touch on each of these three themes through the lens of agile and forward-looking supply chains and procurement strategies. So let's start with climate change, an existential threat that transcends borders. 2023 marked the highest ever global carbon emissions, hitting 37 billion tonnes, even as growth in emissions have slowed. Last year was the warmest year on record, and experts predict a 99% chance that 2024 will rank amongst the top 5 hottest years on record. The consequences are already here. We've seen an unprecedented rise in the frequency of natural disasters, as the Deputy PM mentioned as well in his opening speech. 40 years ago, billion-dollar events occurred every 4 months. Today, they strike every 3 weeks. The World Bank estimates that 1.8 billion people, or 20% of the global population, think about that, that's a quarter of the global population, is directly exposed to flood risks, and around 700 million people are at risk of being displaced due to drought by 2030. Let me cite a stark example. The Panama Channel, which handles 5% of global trade, faced its driest year in over a century in 2023. This drastically reduced shipments and led to severe delays. Similarly, China's Yangtze River Basin, through which 3 billion tons of cargo pass annually, saw water levels drop by 60% in 2022. Climate change is not an abstract threat. It is already upending critical global supply chains. And I think it's clear that the economic toll will be absolutely staggering. Projections suggest that climate-induced supply chain disruptions could cost between $3.75 and close to $25 trillion by 2060, depending on how much we control carbon emissions. And these figures aren't distant possibilities. They're inevitable unless we act now. Secondly, I'd like to touch on the unstable global landscape, which is presenting equally or even more far-reaching challenges for us at the moment. In recent years, global geopolitical instability has escalated, with conflict and associated displacements affecting billions of people. Currently, 92 countries. Think about that. That's almost half the countries in the world is involved in some sort of conflict, and over 110 million people are displaced worldwide. According to the Institute of Economics and Peace, the cost of global conflict in 2022, was 19 trillion US dollars. So if you look at that at a global scale, that is around $2,380 per person on this planet. For the mining industry, which sits at the intersection of commodity markets and labor dynamics, this level of disruption is not sustainable. As we work to meet rising demands for metals like copper, we are simultaneously navigating the ripple effects of global instability. This instability introduces volatility into global markets as political unrest disrupts supply chains and increases the cost of doing business. The mining industry is deeply interconnected with global commodity markets and often reliant on political sensitive regions facing heightened risks in this environment. The knock-on effects is inflationary pressures as well, which remains a critical challenge in the global economic outlook. As of mid this year, inflation rates in major economies like the United States, Europe, and the United Kingdom have remained elevated due to supply chain disruptions, labor shortages, and increased commodity prices. In 2022, inflation in the US reached a 40-year high, largely driven by rising energy and food costs. Although inflation rates have moderated since 2023 and this year, they remain above target levels in many regions, contributing to higher input costs for industries like mining. Global supply chains continue to experience significant bottlenecks, with ripple effects still being felt from the pandemic era, disruptions, and subsequent economic shocks. In 2022, supply chain disruptions led to widespread shortages in key commodities and equipment, with businesses across sectors struggling to meet demand. And for the mining sector, these bottlenecks have compounded the difficulties in meeting production targets, particularly as demand for critical minerals continue to surge. Let's look at people. Labor markets are also undergoing significant changes, with shortages in skilled labor being reported across almost every single industry. The pandemic has accelerated shifts in working patterns, including increased remote work and early retirements, which have contributed to labor shortages in key sectors. This shortage of skilled labor has had a direct impact on industries that require specialized expertise, such as mining, where the availability of talent is absolutely critical in maintaining operational efficiency. The sector finds itself at the intersection of these global shifts. Rising demand for metals like copper, driven by the global energy transition, must be met amid these increasing production costs, supply chain fragility, geopolitical uncertainty, and talent shortages. What does it mean? As a result, mining companies must rethink their procurement strategies to adapt to this rapidly evolving landscape. Which brings me to the third theme, namely rapid advances in technology, which is also changing the landscape for us all. Consider this. It took humanity 2.4 million years just to control fire. But just 66 years after the Wright brothers took to the skies with their first flight, space travel was possible. Now technology is advancing faster than ever before. A new smartphone purchased today will likely be outdated in the next 6 months. This accelerated pace of change is both thrilling but equally overwhelming. AI, big data, and automation are transforming the mining industry. According to McKinsey, digitization and automation in mining could save the industry a whopping $373 billion by 2025. AI, for example, is helping streamline data, eliminate information silos, smarting up the mining industry very rapidly. Equally, digital technology is enabling operators to optimize mine operations, maintenance, productivity, and most importantly, safety by creating virtual, interactive, digital models of physical mines. And automated fleets operating on routes planned by autonomous vehicles is also enhancing efficiency and safety on sites. Now, if you want to see all of this in action happening today, I would implore you to go and visit the Oyu Tolgoi tent, where we've got most of these technology advances already in play at the mine site. So moving on and looking at all of these key themes intersect. Strategic resilience, sustainability, and technological adaptation are more important than ever as companies seek to navigate these global economic shifts while ensuring continued access to essential resources. So in a nutshell, 3 things I want to highlight that we need to focus on. Beyond carbon reduction, sustainability considerations need to be embedded in every aspect of our operations. For mining, up to 70 to 80% of environmental impact can be addressed through supply chain partnerships. Our refreshed strategy at Oyu Tolgoi is centered on decarbonization and strengthening partnerships to build a more sustainable future. Copper, as we know, is crucial for electrification and decarbonization of the global economy, with the demand projected to double by 2035 as countries transition to renewable energy. The second is resilience. As I've said, the world is becoming more unpredictable. Traditional supply chains built on assumptions of stability no longer hold true. Businesses must invest in resilience through monitoring, scenario modeling, and stronger partnerships. The Boston Consulting Group reports that 80% of companies are unprepared for major disruption. That should make everyone slightly concerned. And with supply chain risks still reactive rather than proactive, there's much work that needs to be done. And the third area is strategic adaptability. With rapid technological advancement, procurement strategies must be nimble. The integration of AI and digital technology will not only reduce cost, but also enhance safety and efficiency. At Oyu Tolgoi, we're leveraging AI and digital models to optimize our operations, reducing both operational risks as well as environmental impacts. So in conclusion, I'd like you to think about the smartphone, or perhaps smartphones, in your pocket. A single smartphone contains 90 elements from the periodic table, many of which are critical metals. Copper, in particular, is central to this innovation and is only growing in demand. We, as mining companies and countries, policymakers, civil society, are responsible for meeting these demands in a sustainable and efficient way. But that will require us to think differently about how we work together and how we collaborate. I strongly believe that the future of mining will be defined by strong partnerships. So as the Mozambican proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Tolgoi is ready to go far, and we will go together through innovation, sustainability, and collaboration. Thank you very much.